There will come a moment in your life when holding on will hurt more than letting go. A moment when your silence will speak louder than all your pleading. A moment when your soul quietly whispers, "It's time." Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself. That's the shift. That's the doorway. That's when the old you begins to fall away. And in that space, everything changes. You thought letting go meant losing, but now you're starting to see it differently. Letting go is not about absence. It's about alignment. It's not about walking away from them. It's about walking back to you. You've spent so long trying to hold things together that were already falling apart. You patched the cracks. You lowered your standards. You gave second, third, fourth chances until you couldn't recognize yourself anymore, until you were exhausted, heavy, drained from trying to make something work that wasn't built to last. And maybe they weren't bad people. Maybe it wasn't all toxic, but here's the truth. Just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's meant for your future. Some people were chapters, not the whole story. Some were lessons, not lifelines. And some were simply mirrors, sent to show you what still needed healing. You've done the holding on. Now comes the harder part, the release. The moment you say, "I love you, but I choose me." The moment you stop making excuses for behavior that breaks you. The moment you let the silence speak what words never could. And here's the part no one tells you. The first feeling after letting go isn't freedom, it's emptiness. It's quiet, it's uncomfortable. Because the space they used to fill now echoes. And in that echo, your doubt will creep in. Did I make a mistake? Should I have stayed? Should I reach out again? But breathe. Don't run from that silence. Sit in it. Feel it. Because that space, the one that feels so hollow right now, is sacred. It's not loss. It's a clearing, a reset. The universe does not take without intention. When something leaves your life, it is because something else is being prepared. But it can't enter if you're still clinging to what's gone. You must release before you receive. You must say no to what drains you before you can say yes to what fulfills you. You must trust that when you create space, something beautiful will rise to meet it. That is the law. That is the rhythm. But only the brave make it that far. Only the brave let go without knowing what will replace it. Only the strong say goodbye without a new hello waiting in line. But hear this, you are not empty. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are becoming, and becoming requires loss. Not to destroy you, but to prepare you. To strip away what isn't aligned. To detach you from the identities, people, and patterns that were too small for who you're about to be. The pain you feel? It's not punishment, it's recalibration. It's your soul expanding beyond what your mind can grasp. So yes, grieve it. Mourn the memories. Cry if you must. But do not shrink. Do not run back. Do not water yourself down just to be digestible for those who couldn't hold your full truth. You are not too much. They were just not enough. Let that sink in. You were never asking for too much. You were simply asking the wrong person. And now it's time to let go. Not because they're evil, not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to walk away. Because you've outgrown the version of you who needed their validation. You've stopped begging to be seen. You've stopped hoping they'd change. You've stopped waiting for them to meet you halfway when you were always the one doing the walking. You're done. Not bitter, not cold, just done. And in that doneness, you become free. You create space. And in that space, everything new can now find you. The peace you forgot existed. The people who love without condition. The opportunities that align with your purpose. But none of that comes until you let go. So let go. Watch what enters your life next. Not everyone you lose is a loss. Some people exit your life like poison leaving the bloodstream, like noise finally silencing, like a storm finally passing. It doesn't always feel good when they go, but one day you'll realize it was good that they did. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are seasonal. Some people are situational. Some people are spiritual detours, meant to teach you what love is not, so you'll recognize what love is. But when you're in it, you can't see that. All you feel is the emptiness, the confusion, the ache. You keep replaying conversations. You keep wondering what you could have said, what you should have done. You romanticize their potential. You cling to the almost, but almost never built anything lasting. Almost never became always. And deep down, you knew it. You felt it. Every time you had to pretend to be okay with less than you deserved. Every time your needs were too much for them. Every time you kept the peace by betraying your own truth. That wasn't connection. That was survival. And you're not here to survive love. You're here to be transformed by it. Real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't disappear when things get inconvenient. But sometimes you have to experience the wrong ones to even recognize the right ones. That's the paradox. That's the blessing. That's why their exit was divine. You see, the universe has a brutal kind of mercy. It will rip people from your life when you don't have the strength to do it yourself. It will force endings when you keep trying to rewrite the same broken story. And at first, it feels cruel. But in time, you'll see. It was always kindness. Because now, you're free. Free from trying to prove yourself. Free from walking on eggshells. Free from the weight of loving someone who couldn't love you back in the way you needed. That freedom. It's sacred, but it only shows up after the release. After the resistance breaks. After you stop trying to reopen doors that were locked for a reason. You keep asking why they left, but the better question is, why were you holding on so tightly to someone who wasn't holding you back? That's where the healing begins. When you stop making their absence about your lack. When you start realizing that your worth doesn't decrease just because they couldn't see it. They weren't your mirror. They were your message. A loud, painful, necessary message. You deserve more. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve effort. You deserve to feel chosen, not tolerated. You were never too much. They were simply not enough. And that's not arrogance. That's awareness. That's the beginning of self-respect. That's how you protect your peace. That's how you stop repeating cycles. So, let them go. Release the story. Don't rewrite it. Don't chase closure. Some chapters end without explanation. Some people disappear without warning. Let them. Don't give energy to confusion. Don't beg for understanding. Sometimes the silence is the answer. Sometimes their absence is the clarity. You don't need to make peace with them. You need to make peace with yourself. With your decision to walk away. With your courage to stay gone. With your right to rebuild. Because the ones meant to stay will never need to be begged. They'll come with consistency, with clarity, with care. They'll recognize your value without needing a reminder, and they'll never make you question whether you're too difficult to love. But to meet them, you have to be willing to let go of those who were never meant to make it to your next chapter. The truth is, some people were only meant to walk with you for a season. They were there to trigger growth, to teach a hard lesson, to spark a transformation. And when their role is complete, the energy shifts. You feel it. You resist it. But eventually, you surrender to it. And in that surrender, everything softens. Everything aligns. And the weight you've been carrying suddenly lifts. That's the gift of letting go. So the next time someone leaves your life, don't chase them. Don't grieve too long. Don't make it mean more than it does. Instead, say thank you. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you for making space, because now you're lighter. Now you're clearer. Now you're ready. Ready for what's next. Ready for what's real. Ready for who stays. You only lose what isn't truly yours. Let that sink in. Read it again. Feel it. If it can be taken, it was never rooted. If it can walk away, it was never yours to begin with. You don't lose what is aligned with your destiny. You lose what was borrowed. Temporary, conditional, and we don't grieve because they left. We grieve because we made them permanent in a story that was always meant to be temporary. We tied our worth to their presence. We confused attachment with purpose, and that's where the suffering began. You thought you were building something eternal, but they were just passing through, a visitor, a mirror, a vibration that didn't match your future, only your wounds. But now you're learning. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, you're learning that what's real doesn't require begging, that what's for you will feel like peace, not a performance, that when something leaves, it doesn't mean you're broken, it means your path is being cleared, because loss, when looked at with the right eyes, is never punishment, it's precision, a surgical removal of what can't go with you to the next level. And I know, you wanted them to come, you wanted them to rise with you. But some people are not built for the altitude you're heading toward, and if you carry them, they'll only weigh you down. Their fear will infect your vision. Their indecision will weaken your power. Their chaos will cloud your clarity. So the universe does what it always does. It intervenes. It shifts. It separates. Not to harm you, but to free you. And the hardest part is trusting that absence can be protection. That goodbye can be sacred, that what leaves you might be the very thing blocking what's meant to find you. You only lose what isn't truly yours. Repeat that when it stings. Say it to yourself when the nights feel long. Whisper it when the memories return uninvited, because those words are your anchor. They are your reminder that you're not unlucky. You're not being punished. You're being aligned. Stripped of what's false so you can be filled with what's real. But real doesn't come to the occupied. It only enters the available, the open, the empty. So let the space stay unfilled for a while. Don't rush to replace what left. Don't confuse loneliness with lack. Sometimes solitude is where your soul begins to speak again. Sometimes the quiet is where your healing starts. You think you're alone, but what's actually happening is sacred reconstruction, the tearing down of false structures, the dismantling of illusions, the removal of everything that kept you from seeing your own worth. Because real doesn't abandon you when you're low. Real doesn't flinch when you speak your truth. Real doesn't make you question your intuition. And if they did, it wasn't real. It was a lesson dressed as a person. It was growth disguised as pain. And the moment you realize that, you stop chasing closure. You stop needing an apology. You stop giving energy to people who never had the capacity to hold you. You begin to reclaim your time, your peace, your power. Because here's what no one teaches you. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone is qualified to walk with you. And just because someone wants you doesn't mean they know how to value you. So let them go. Watch what enters your life next, because once the false leaves, the true begins to rise. A new kind of relationship, a deeper kind of peace, a higher level of self-respect. But none of that can arrive if you're still haunted by what didn't stay. You only lose what isn't truly yours. What's yours doesn't cause confusion. What's yours stays, it grows. It reflects back to you the love you've finally given to yourself. And when you're rooted in that love, your standards change. You stop entertaining what drains you. You stop explaining your worth. You stop apologizing for evolving. You no longer shrink to fit inside someone else's small perception of you. You rise, and you rise alone if you must, because the one thing you now know is this: you'd rather stand alone in truth than stay attached to something that was never real. Let them go, not as punishment, not in bitterness, but in wisdom, in strength, in deep inner peace. Let them go and watch who you become. Your energy is a filter, and it's working. That's why some people are falling away. That's why some connections feel distant, strained, or simply irrelevant. Not because something went wrong, but because something within you went right. You've shifted. You've leveled up. And now your energy is doing the work your words no longer need to. You used to explain, you used to justify, you used to try to keep people close out of guilt, fear, or habit, but not anymore. Now your energy says what your mouth doesn't have to. It says, I'm no longer available for what drains me. It says, I'm done with the noise, the drama, the pretending. It says, if it's not peace, if it's not love, if it's not growth, I'm not interested. And guess what happens when you live like that? People who were only compatible with your old self start to disappear. You don't even have to force it. They just fade, they ghost, they drift. And that's okay. That's alignment. That's spiritual housekeeping. That's your frequency protecting you, because you're not who you used to be. You're more aware now. You're more intentional. You walk differently. You speak less, but say more. You protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. You trust silence more than forced conversations. You'd rather be alone than poorly accompanied. And that is the energy shift they feel. That's the new language you're speaking. You're no longer trying to be understood. You're becoming undeniable. You no longer entertain what feels off. You walk away without explanation. And that power, that quiet, confident, radiant energy, it scares people, especially those who only knew you in your unhealed version. The version that overgave, that over-explained, that tolerated too much, stayed too long, settled too often. They don't know what to do with this new you. This you that chooses peace over performance, boundaries over approval, alignment over attachment. And so, they leave. And you let them, because you finally understand. Who stays cannot be shaken by your evolution. Who stays will rise with you, not resent your rise. Who stays will feel at home in your new frequency, not uncomfortable in your light. Your energy is a filter, and it's always honest. You can fake words, you can fake smiles, but you cannot fake vibration. People feel you. They feel your growth. They feel your detachment. And if they're not growing too, they'll feel like you've changed. But here's the truth. You didn't change to leave them behind. You changed because you couldn't stay behind with them. There's a difference. This journey you're on, it's sacred. It's not about ego. It's not about revenge. It's about truth. About finally becoming who you were meant to be before the world told you who to be. And sometimes that becoming requires shedding of habits, of patterns, of people. It's not personal. It's energetic. It's spiritual, and it's working. The tension you feel with certain people now, that's your soul's way of saying this chapter is complete. You don't need to fight to keep what is falling away. Let it fall. Let it go. Let your new energy do its job. Because the more you align with your truth, the more obvious it becomes who's aligned with you. The ones who stay now, they're not there because you begged. They're there because they see you. They feel you. They match you. And that's what you're building now. Connection that doesn't require self-betrayal. Spaces that feel safe. Relationships that feel mutual. Environments that nourish your nervous system, not activate your trauma. But to get here, you had to let go. You had to say goodbye to the version of you that needed everyone to stay. You had to learn that when you protect your energy, it protects you back. So keep going. Keep trusting the shift. Keep honoring the filter. Your energy is cleaning the room before you even speak. It's repelling what no longer serves you and attracting what does. That's not magic. That's alignment. And the more you live in that frequency, the more effortless everything becomes. You don't chase. You attract. You don't react. You choose. You don't shrink. You shine. And whoever's meant to walk with you will match your pace. Letting go isn't losing. That's the illusion most people live under. That holding on means love. That attachment means loyalty. That keeping things, even when they hurt, proves strength. But the truth is, Letting go is the ultimate power move. It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's awareness. It's trust. It's a silent, unwavering statement to the universe. I am ready for what's meant, because what's meant for you cannot reach you if your hands are full of what's not. Think about that. You can't catch blessings while gripping burdens. You can't walk into your next chapter if you're dragging dead weight from the last. You can't attract alignment if you're still addicted to chaos. So yes, letting go is painful, but it's also sacred. It's the invisible door between who you were and who you're becoming, between surviving and thriving, between existing and living fully. And you feel it. You feel it in your chest, in your gut, in your bones. That knowing, that quiet urge to release, to unclench, to stop carrying people, places, habits that no longer fit the shape of your soul. But fear whispers, what if nothing better comes? Let me tell you, something better only comes when there's room. And the universe doesn't fill clutter. It fills clarity. It fills openness. It fills space. So let go, not because you're giving up, but because you're growing up. Because what used to comfort you is now costing you. What once felt like home now feels like a cage. And that's okay. You're allowed to outgrow people, to outgrow conversations, to outgrow roles you played just to survive. You're allowed to leave the version of you that tolerated less than you deserved, that bent just to be accepted, that dimmed just to be loved. That version of you brought you here, but it can't take you further. So grieve her, thank her, and then rise. Rise without guilt, without explanation, without looking back, because forward is the only direction now. And yes, it might get quiet at first. You might feel the loneliness, the discomfort of space that used to be filled with noise. But don't rush to fill it. Sit in the silence. Let it stretch you, teach you, heal you, because in that silence you'll find something deeper than distraction. You'll find yourself. And from that place, you will no longer accept less. You will no longer beg for attention, for clarity, for love. You will no longer confuse effort with alignment. Because real doesn't need to be forced. Real meets you where you are. It matches your energy. It doesn't make you chase. It doesn't make you question your worth. So let go. Let go of the almosts, the maybes, the what-ifs. Let go of trying to fix what someone else keeps breaking. Let go of the shame, the blame, the versions of you that weren't allowed to speak, to rest, to shine. Let them all fall away, because when you let go of what isn't real, what is real finally finds its way to you. The love that doesn't require you to shrink, the peace that doesn't feel temporary, the people who speak your soul's language without needing translation, the life that feels like breath, not battle. But none of it can arrive if you're still gripping what hurt you. So this is your invitation, not to forget, not to numb, but to choose yourself, to honor the deep inner wisdom that whispers, you deserve more, you always have, and maybe now, just now, you're finally ready to receive it. So let go, not with fear, but with faith, because the moment you do, watch what enters your life next.